Using a 3/4 inch socket, we're going to go ahead and remove the wheel. Go ahead and remove the CV axle nut. Go ahead and remove the upper link bolt and the lower link bolt that goes into the control arm. Go ahead and remove the lower clevis fork bolt. Next, we want to use a pair of pliers or cutting dikes and remove the cotter pin on this upper ball joint. Now what we're going to want to do is loosen this nut and take it off almost all the way, but don't remove it. Now we do have the lower portion of the suspension supported. You can use a jack or a stand of some sort. On the top, we're going to go ahead and strike the knuckle to release this upper ball joint. Now we're going to go ahead and lower the jack. And see that ball joint separate. We're now going to go ahead and remove the nut from the ball joint the rest of the way. Let's just go ahead and pivot the knuckle out, and we're going to go ahead and manipulate this axle up and out like so. Now we want to go to the inside, and we're going to give the inside of the CV axle a couple loving bonks to pop that out. Now grab the axle, try and support it and carry it straight out. Now what you're going to want to do is remove the stub shaft from the CV axle. How we did that was we were able to stand this up and we put this stub shaft in a vise. We held on to that and then we just whacked on the CV axle until this axle the stub shaft popped out of the CV axle and separated like so. I want to go ahead and reinstall it on the new unit here. So you line up the splines. And it pops in like so. You want to go ahead and line up that axle stub shaft, put that back inside, slide that in gently. You'll be able to feel the gears line up as you rotate that CV axle. All right, so getting the CV axle lined up inside the axle tube, you can go ahead and use a mallet and just kind of bop this in. Now if you have an issue with this seating inside the axle tube, go around to the other side and you can have someone wiggle or rotate the other wheel left and right, and this should line up with the splines inside and it'll pop in. So now that this is set up inside here, I want to go ahead and drop this down inside the knuckle. I'm going to go ahead and lift that strut up. We're going to try and get that clevis pin bolt started here just to hold that in place. We're now going to get that nut put on the back side of the clevis pin bolt. Just get that started. We put some anti-seize on there. Let's go ahead and get that upper ball joint lined back up in that knuckle. Get that nut started on there. And just thread it on as far as you can. Now we're going to go ahead and lower the jack. The clevis fork to the control arm bolt. We're going to snug that down. And then we're going to go ahead and torque that to 125 foot-pounds. Go ahead and snug up this upper ball joint nut. We're now going to go ahead and torque this nut to 55 foot-pounds. So on the castle nut, you want to make sure that you line up one of the notches so you can put the cotter pin through. In our case here, It's a little bit off, so we're going to go ahead and tighten this just a hair bit more. With the notch lined up, we're going to go ahead and put the cotter pin in. Just tap that in. Grab the pliers. And snip off excess. I'm going to go ahead and install the CV axle nut here. I'm just going to use our impact gun here just to snug up this nut. I'm going to install 3 lug nuts here. I'm going to go ahead and use a breaker bar and your torque wrench, and we're going to torque this to 100 foot-pounds. Install the lower bolt into the lower control arm. Install the upper link bolt. Go ahead and get that nut started. You just want to go ahead and snug this bolt up, and then we'll do the same for the top bolt. Go ahead and torque this bolt to 100 foot-pounds. I'm going to torque the lower bolt to 85 foot-pounds. Go ahead and get that wheel installed. Go ahead and snug these down. Torque range is 85 foot-pounds to 115. We're going to actually torque these to 100 foot-pounds. Do this in a crisscross pattern.